Hi, my name is Josh Vogel. I'm from www.theslothReport.com. Um, I wanted to film a video log. I've been writing a blog for a long time, and um, I've been aware for a while of people doing video blogs. I've seen some of Dana White's video blogs about like the UFC and stuff like that. It never really occurred to me to do one of my own, so I thought I would give it a shot and see how it turns out. For the subject of this one, I wanted to talk a little bit about something that somebody was asking me about a little while ago. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 12 years, and it took me about 9 years to get my black belt, to go from white to black. And they were asking me, like, what kept me going from white to black belt, like, motivation-wise, and then what motivated me after black belt. And so I thought, this might be a good chance to talk a little bit about that. From white to black belt, I was motivated by a lot of different things, and some of those things were more superficial. I don't mean superficial in the sense of like being stupid, but just they were more fleeting. So certain things like getting my blue belt, getting my purple belt, getting my brown belt, getting my black belt, those were all motivating factors for me. I wanted my blue belt, I wanted my purple belt. I wanted the skill level that came with it too, but it's nice to get a belt. And I was also motivated by competition. So I wanted to compete as a blue belt, and I wanted to compete as a purple belt and a brown belt, and compete a little bit as a black belt. And I wanted to do well, and I wanted to see what the next level of training and competition felt like. That was motivating for me. And that was mostly like white through brown belt. Competition was really motivating for me. At around sometime during my brown belt, I started to get some injuries, and it made me sort of back off of competition a little bit, and reevaluate my goals and what I hope to get out of training. But those were some of the goals that kind of pushed me when I was getting in certain slumps. But the more I thought about this question, the more I realized that I always had a more overarching goal in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's always been to that like search for effortless technique. And it sounds kind of corny, I guess, but I think it's something that I've kind of always looked for in pretty much everything that I've done, whether it's like rock climbing or jiu-jitsu or skateboarding or drawing or hand balancing or whatever activities I've tried and participated in. So what I mean is this. When I'm talking about effortless technique, I'm talking about that moment where you're well-trained enough to have a vocabulary of techniques, and at certain points in time, there's a feeling as if the technique almost does itself. So usually when you're sparring in jiu-jitsu, there's a sense of effort. You get a grip on your opponent, and you want this grip, and they want this grip, and you fight out of that grip, and you push your knee across, and you drop your weight, and your hips get heavy, and they push you off, and then eventually you kind of struggle past a guard, or you want to get the arm bar, and you catch it real quick, and there's a moment where you don't know if you're going to get it, because they're trying to pull out of the arm bar, and then you catch the wrist, and then you finally get it, or they get out. And then there's sometimes where you have you're rolling, and the arm is there, and it's almost like your opponent arm bars themselves. Or there's a moment where they shift their weight a certain way, and your legs are in the right spot, and they almost sweep themselves. It's almost like they just fall over. Or you're passing guard, and you're just in the right place at the right time, and all the stars are aligned, and all of a sudden you're on top of them in side control without even almost trying. It's almost like they passed their own guard. And this is something that's really rare. I mean, 99% of, maybe 95 to 99% of my training is not like this at all. There's this, I'm not saying it's 100% struggle all the time, but but there's usually a struggle. Like, people don't want you to do your moves to them, and you want to do your moves to them, and you're trying to stop them from doing their moves to you, and you go back and forth, and there's a battle. But every once in a while, that 1 to 5% of the time, there's just that everything just falls right in the right spot. Almost like when you're trying to throw like a paper towel in the trash can from 10 feet away, and you just goofing around, you throw it over your shoulder without even looking, and it just sinks in, and you didn't really even try, and you look back at it and you're like, oh shit, I just threw that paper towel in the trash can. It's kind of the same feeling, like when that arm bar happens, it almost does itself, and you look back at it and you're like, how did that even happen? It just feels like magic. It feels like you just cast a spell and made the armbar happen. And this is something that, the more I think about it, the more this is what I was looking for as a kid when I grew up drawing, or in skateboarding too. When I would draw pictures, there was a certain point where every once in a while your hand would just kind of feel like it was guiding itself, like the face or the cat or whatever it was that you're trying to draw, just kind of, your hand moved, and then there was this really gratifying image on the paper that was what you wanted to accomplish, but it just kind of accomplished itself. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. It was the same thing in skateboarding, where you try a trick and you fall down, and you finally make the trick, but you land it, and it's a struggle to keep your balance after you land it, or you sort of fall off a little bit, or your feet are placed in a weird spot and you almost fall, or your skateboard shifts around a little bit, and then every once in a while that 1% happens where you're riding up to the obstacle and you do your kickflip or your ollie or whatever, and the trick almost does itself, and then you just ride away, and it was effortless. And you can see this in some people. I was watching a skateboarding competition the other day on TV with Nigel Houston. I can't pronounce his name, but it's probably not that hard either, but I just don't feel like remembering it. But watching him skateboard, he just, in this particular instance, he was just nailing everything that he tried. It just looked effortless. Like he had done it a million times before, and it was just doing itself. And that's a much higher skill level than I ever got to. But in talking about this, it reminds me of something that Ido Portal was saying in his first London Real interview. He was talking about a Bruce Lee quote where, I don't know much about Bruce Lee, but I guess he was saying something like, I don't hit, it hits. And I think the idea was that he was talking about like it's not him punching, but the punch is doing itself. Like your body is just happens on its own. And I think that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to see the quote for real, like in its own context, to make sure that's the same idea. But that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that like effortless accomplishing of the goal. If the goal is to hit, then I don't want to have to, I want to find that moment where the hand just goes perfectly to its target without even trying. You watch some of Anderson Silva's fights, and that's kind of what it looks like sometimes too. Just when people are hitting that peak moment where their body is just due, the punch just happens, like it hits. Or, you're just in that right mood, and the picture draws itself, or the scissor sweep just happens. The person sweeps themselves over, and you end up on top of the mount. And it's rare. It's a really rare thing. And, the more stressful the circumstances, the more rare it gets. I mean, doing the it hits kind of thing in training is one thing when you're training with your friends, and doing the it hits kind of thing when you're in competition is a totally different thing. There's more stress, there's more adrenaline, there's people watching, noise. So every once in a while when you see those people that are just hit their stride and they're doing everything and it just looks like it's happening on their own, and like their opponents are beating themselves, that's something really, really special. And so that's, to get back to the point, that's kind of what I've always wanted for my jiu-jitsu, and it's what motivates me and drives me now. You know, to get on the mat, I train, and to have those moments where every once in a while, those 1% of everything that I do, that one time out of maybe the whole 6 months or the whole year of training, where you're training with somebody really good, and you do your move without thinking, and it just happens. It chokes. The choke happens of its own accord. The person almost chokes himself. So that's what motivates me. Let me know what you think. I'm going to keep on doing these video logs, but if you like what you hear, I talk a lot about my philosophy of training and jiu-jitsu and concepts and techniques and ideas that I have about training and my method of training people, which is a pretty organized method, I think, on my magazine/newsletter, which is www.theslothReport.com, TheSlothReport.com. It's $5 a month. It's inexpensive. I put what I think is a lot of good content on there, and I'm constantly working to make it better. So give it a shot, and if you don't like it, just let me know, and I'll give you your money right back. No questions asked. If that does happen, though, I do hope that you give me a little bit of feedback just so I can make it better for the next person, but it's not required. So www.theslothReport.com, and let me know what you think about this video log thing. If you think it's stupid, let me know. If you like it, I'll try and do more of them. Let me know that too. Thank you.